Good morning, guys. I'm going to go through a couple examples here, and then we're going to move on. So make sure if you want to pause this video at all to try some of the problems on your own, that would be great. So from the other day, we talked about factoring when it's x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so we need to write out what our b and our c are. So I'm going to pick letter D and do that problem. These are the homework problems that you had the other day. M squared plus 5m minus 36. So technically we could, and we're going to learn this today, there's normally an A in the front. So right here, that A number is that imaginary one that we can write out. B is positive 5, and C is negative 36. Let me zoom in here. Hopefully this is recording. Okay, whoop, too much. All right, so when we have A, B, and C, we did that X, and we put C at the top, B at the bottom. So negative 36 and 5. Now we need to know what multiplies to be 36 and adds to be 5. So I'm going to list out, or negative 36, sorry. I'm going to list out my factors of 36. 1 times 36, 2 times, is it 12? Nope, I lied. 2 times 18. See, even I need a factor sheet sometimes. So 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, all right, and so on. So right there, I can see, okay, 1, so we could do it kind of two different ways. 1 plus 36, 1 minus 36, or vice versa. Those aren't going to ever give me 5. 2 plus 18, 18 minus 2, not going to give me 5. 12 plus 3 is 15. 12 minus 3 is 9. So not going to work. So I know right away, okay, I'm going to use 4 and 9. So the hint was, let's take a look at the bigger number and the sign on the bottom. So my sign of B, or 5, is positive. So my bigger number needs to be positive, which means I need negative 4. All right, then we make our box and fill in what we know. Okay, so this again is just a refresher from the other day. So m squared, negative 36. Then my factors go in these other boxes, negative 4m, 9m. And I'm going to take out what I can. So out of the top row, always normally just an m. There might be a number in, and we're going to learn about that today. This one, I can divide both 9 and negative 36 by 9. I do not take a negative out because this first box does not have a negative. Okay, then I go down, m. I'm going to go down again. Now look, this first box does have a negative, so I'm going to take out negative 4. And I can divide both of those numbers by 4. So my answer is m plus 9, m minus 4. Okay, so not yesterday, but the day before, we didn't talk about when there was a number in front of x. So now that's what we're going to do. I'm going to skip this multiplying. You guys know how to multiply, so we're just going to go through that. So how can I find a factor, trinomial? How can I factor a trinomial with a leading coefficient other than 1? So now we're going to call these, I like to call them when a is greater than 1. Okay, the ones before were a is equal to 1. All right, so here's our first example. 5x squared plus 16x plus 3. First thing we need to look at, is there something that I can divide all these numbers by? No, there's not, because 5 is a prime number and so is 3, so we can't divide them by each other. Okay, so there's not a GCF for this one, but I'll show you when there is a GCF what we do. So first we need to identify. Remember, it's now ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is 5, b is 16, and c is 3. All right, now we can still do our x, but now on the top it's going to be a times c, and on the bottom it's always b. Remember, bottom b. So b is 16, I'm going to place that in there, and then a times c, so 5 times 3, 5 times 3 gives me positive 15. Again, we need to find those factors that multiply to be 15 and add to be 16. This one's pretty easy, actually, just 15 and 1. Okay, you can still list out the factors of 15, but 3 and 5 is not going to give me 16, so I know it's 1 and 15. The next part is always drawing that box. Okay. And I did share a video yesterday, if you watched it, that did show factor by grouping in one of them. So what I'm going to do, this first box is always my first term, 5x squared. My last box is always my last term, 3. In the middle two boxes, we add that 15x, that 1x. Now we see what can I take out. So this one now has a number in front of here that we can take out, 5 and 15. What is the GCF, the biggest, greatest common factor? So I can divide 5 and 15 both by 5. I also am going to take out an x there, okay? The next one, remember when we can't take out anything, we always take out a 1. Going downwards, 5x squared, 1x. The numbers, nothing can work, but I can take out an x. And then this one, 15x and 3, I can divide by 3. So my answer is now 5x plus 1 times x plus 3 for my factors. Okay, don't worry, we're going to do a bunch of examples, so hopefully this will help. And I'm sorry if the video ends up being long. All right, so I'll leave that up there for a second. Why don't you take a minute, pause the video, and do the next one, set it up. Find your A, B, and C. Okay, so is there a GCF to factor out? Well, can I divide these numbers by the same number? No, I can't. 7, 13 are both prime numbers, so nothing else can be taken out of them. So there's no GCF for this one again. And then identify A, B, and C. A is 7, B is negative 13, and C is 6. Okay, so I make my my x, A times C in the top, B in the bottom. B is easy, negative 13, because it's just given to us there. Now A times C is 7 times 6. So 7 times 6 is what, 42? 42, yep. And then we need to find our factors. Now this one might be a little bit more tricky because it's a big number. So 42, 1 times 42, 2 times 21. Let's see, can we divide 42 by 3? 3 times 14. How about 42 divided by, 42 divided by 4? It's 10.5. 42 divided by 5. Nope. 42 divided by 6. You guys have a factor sheet, so you can do this. 6 times 7. Okay, so then I check. All right, 1 times 42 is not going to give me anything I need for that 13. 2 times 21, nope. 3 times 14, a little bit closer, but no, not going to work. So we have to use 6 times 7. 6 and 7. Now, both of these need to be negative because our bottom number is negative, but our top number is positive. So remember, we talked about if it's positive, it means it's the same signs. So those are both negative. Now we can set up our box again. First term, so 7x squared. Last term, positive 6. Then our factors go in here with an x. Okay? Then we're going to see what we can take out. 7 and 6 can't divide anything with those numbers, but I can take out an x. Negative 7 and 6 can't take anything out, but I can take out a negative because this first box is negative. I'm going to put a 1 just for my placeholder, right? I can divide both 7 and 6 by 1. And when I go down this way, they both have a 7 and they both have an x. I don't take out a negative because this first box is not negative. Okay, but on this other one, because this first part is negative, I take out a negative and they both have a 6. So my answer is x minus 1 times 7x minus 6. Okay, easy to factor. We'll do a couple more examples. Let me show you one that does have a GCF that we can take out. C, 4, 16, 15. I can't divide those by anything. 4 and 16 I could divide by 4, but not 15. So there's no GCF. So what I'm going to look at here, letter D, I have 6, -8, and 13. If you want to pull open the factor sheet and look, 6, 8, and 30, let's list their factors. 1 times 6, 2 times 3, right? And then 1 times 8, 2 times 4, 1 times 30, 2 times 15, not 4, and then 5 times 6, right? So we look at these and we look for which number do they have in common. Well, they all have a 1, but that's not the biggest number they have in common. They all have a 2. So what I'm going to do is divide this out, all these numbers, by 2. So technically I'm taking out that GCF, and then what's left over, 6 divided by 2 is 3m squared. 8 divided by 2 is -4m, and -15 for 30. So now I'm going to leave this 2 out here for a little bit. Now I'm going to factor this one. So we said factor out the GCF. There was in fact a GCF, which was 2. And then now what we're doing is we're really factoring 3m squared minus 4m minus 15. So my A is 3, my B is -4, and my C is -15 now. Okay, so A times C, 3 times -15 is what? -45, and then my B was -4. So let's talk about the factors of 45. 1 times 45, 2 times nothing, 3 times 15, and then 4, nothing, 5. 45 divided by 5 is 9, right? So 5 times 9. When I get there, this is way off. This one's not going to give me 4, so I know it's got to be this one, 5 and 9. And remember I said the bigger number has to be the sign of B. So it's going to be -9. Again, this will just take some practice for you to get used to using the factor sheet or the mental math, figuring that out in your head. Okay, so then we take the box. Now we're doing the box to our new one, not the original. So once we factored out the GCF, we kind of forget about this original problem. -15 is my end, and then my middle terms, 5m, -9m, go in there. So now I'm going to factor out. Well, 3 and 5, I can't factor anything out, but I can take out an m. -9 and 15. Well, I can take out a negative because they're both negative, but what's the biggest number that 9 and 15 have in common? If you want to look at your factor sheet or write out the factors, we've got, oops, why isn't this working? Let's change color, see if it works. Oh, my pen stopped working. Nope, I don't know why it's not working. So then I would take out, I can divide both of these by 3. Let me try that again. There we go. All right, so you could list the factors. 1 times 9, 3 times 3, 1 times 15, 3 times 5. We see that my biggest number in common is 3. So I'm going to divide 3 this way. Again, I can take out a 3 and an m, and this way I take out a 5. So now my factors from the box are m minus 3, 3m plus 5, but we cannot forget that 2 we took out in the beginning. So I have to add that back on there. So this is going to be my answer. Okay, so these get a little bit more tricky. I will post multiple different videos, multiple different things for us to look at so that you guys do get used to this. Okay, let's do one more. 42, 96, and 54. Those are all big numbers. So what I would look at is the factor sheet that I posted on the weekly page to figure out, okay, what are my factors of all these numbers? I just kind of ignore the negative. 1 times 42, 2 times 21. What else? 42 divided by 3 is 14. 42 divided by 4. 42 divided by 6 is 7. So 6 times 7. All right, then 96 is a big number. I might even need the factor sheet for this, for 96. But I'm going to guess that our biggest number we're taking out is 4. Nope, wait, 42 divided by 4. That doesn't work. 96 divided by 6. So 6 times 16. 2 times 48. 1 times 96. 96 divided by 3. 332. So there's a bunch of different ones. 96 divided by 4. Whoops. It's 24. 4 times 24. All right. Let's do 54. 1 times 54. 3 times 18. 6 times 9. Okay. So let's see, what is our biggest number they have in common? Sorry guys, that took a little bit. So I see a 6 and a 6 and a 6. So I'm going to assume that we're dividing all of these by 6. So basically, we're factoring out the GCF. The GCF is 6. And what do we have left over? Well, 42 divided by 6 is 7w squared. 96 divided by 6 was 16, right? 16w. And then 54 divided by 6 was 9. So that's what's left over. So now we focus on this part when we identify A is 7, B is 16, C is 9. We make our X, A times C, B, 7 times 9 is what? 63 and 16. So these numbers are still pretty big. So we have to make sure that we know, okay, now let's look at our factors of 63. 1 times 63. 63 divided by 3, I'm guessing. 3 times 21. 7 times 9. Okay, so I actually know, oh, well, 7 and 9 will give me 16. Negative 7, negative 9 give me negative 16, but they multiply to be positive 63. So like I said, these numbers get a little bit big. All right, and I'm sorry this video has gotten long. So now we go back, 7w squared. We're using our new part that we're focusing on. 9 in the bottom, negative 9w. Negative 7w, and then we take out what we can. Okay, so we can divide the numbers not by anything, but I can take out a w. This one, again, I can't take out any numbers, but this first box was a negative, so I'm going to take out a negative and hold it with a 1. Going down, 7w, negative 9. Again, negative 9 because this first part is negative. So my answer at the end, can't forget about my 6 that I took out here, and then w minus 1 times 7w minus 9. Okay. There is no, there's not a practice sheet, but there are this part 4, there's what, 5 problems to practice here. So you guys can take a picture of this, pause it, write it down, and work on these 5 problems for your assignment. Okay. If you have the packet, this is what it is. If you don't, take a picture real quick or pause the video so you can write those down on a piece of paper. All right, remember now that we're doing ax squared plus bx plus c, we now have to label out a is what, b is what, c is what. Our x is now a times c at the top and b at the bottom. Okay, don't worry, we'll be going through this for a long time and practicing it, so don't worry if it's confusing right now, especially because it's just a video and not actually me teaching it. All right, have a good day. Make sure you practice some problems.